Hello and welcome back to the Invictus Racing League IRL F1 League. It's Monday night. It's Gareth and Sab in the commentary box. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. We're back again. Bahrain tonight should be very exciting. Completely different to what we had last week with the tight, narrow street circuits of Baku. Tonight we'll be racing under the lights at the secure circuit, so it should be really fascinating to see how these guys can get along tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, the Sakir circuit in Bahrain, it's one of those ever-present circuits on the Invictus calendar. We have such popular races around here. Of course, a few seasons ago, the closest finish of all time was set at this race, where we saw the gap between the lead and the second place finish at 0.015 of a second. So only 15 thousandths of a second split the leader and the second place man. So that's how close it can be around here, and we're expecting more fireworks as usual. And like I say, it's been on the calendar several times. I believe it's previously the no assist race, they were here 6 times. This is our first time here as part of the IRL F1 League, but it is a race app that allows us to have close racing, good overtaking, and equally those cars don't half look pretty under those lights, do they?
Yeah, I really do like this circuit for that. The cars look absolutely fantastic. It's a good race circuit, I think. I thoroughly enjoy racing around here. I know you enjoy racing around here as well. It's one of those tracks that can really promote good close racing and opportunities to have overtaking. So tonight, fingers crossed, we might have a bit more people really pushing the limits, because I don't know about you, when you go to places like Baku, Singapore, Monaco and whatever, you always feel a bit more reserved, don't you? You don't want to get too close to those walls in case you take a front wing off, or even go even worse and take a wheel off. So tonight you'd imagine they'll be really pushing it for it. We've got Hercules back tonight, haven't we? He's got a 100% record every time he races in this league with us. So is he destined to get another win tonight? Especially John Polainen last week picking up another race victory around Baku. So it could be fascinating to see how those two get on. And we've got plenty chasing behind as well. So who knows who's going to take the victory tonight? And first and foremost, who's going to take pole position?
Yeah, you could not say it any better. You've got a very full grid by the looks of it. Just one driver missing currently, so these guys will all be eyeing up that qualifying session and who can get themselves on the pole position for that 400-meter stretch down from P1 down to the first corner. The first of 15 turns over a 5.4 kilometer circuit. That's 3.36 miles. The longest straight is around 0.6 of a mile. Of course, that is that main straight from turn 15 down to turn 1. DRS aided down there as well, which allows the cars get up to a top speed of around 206 to 210 mile an hour, 335 kilometers an hour. Full throttle, 64% of the lap round here. And gear changes, we'll see around 52 per lap, which makes just under 1500 for the race distance over the 50% that we've got here this evening. 2 DRS zones, of course, run down from turn 15 down to turn 1, and the exit of turn 10, now off camber left-hander, which can catch these guys out, especially the ones running without any sort of traction control, and equally no ABS, as of course everyone in IRL F1 are not using any assists whatsoever. So yeah, it's going to be a real tricky one those for the guys this evening. And yeah, we've got a couple of records. We've got this will be Wout Fountain, the Belgian driver, of course, very successful here in previously the No Assist League and equally the F1 League. It's his 50th race as part of the Monday Night League. So congratulations for your half-century, Fountain, and we must say congratulations to him for wrapping up the One Hub Racing Drivers' Championship on a Friday as well for his tier. So yeah, a good week for Fountain in league racing. And we go to track, and it is, as expected, a clear night sky in Bahrain. And Sab, we've got 18 drivers here this evening. And really, after what we saw last week, where we saw a good race from Infinity, a good race from Simon, it's a very, very hard session to predict a pole position.
It really is, and I have to say as well, a good race for Warrislander as well. He finally got that podium place. We probably agreed that he deserved to get. And Warrislander, he's one who we can get a fastest lap under his belt. But you mentioned him just a second ago, White Fountain. For me, he's one to keep an eye on tonight. He just knows how to pull a fastest lap out. Even right at the very last few seconds of qualifying, he just finds that few tenths just to stick it on pole. But there's so many to pick from tonight. Hercules, you've got Sam, you've got Boy Better Know who's with us as well tonight, Warrislander. You've got, I'd say, at least 6 or 7 guys comfortably capable of getting on the pole position places. We now start to see some of the guys filtering out. A lot of choice at the minute as I'm just looking at the tyre fitting at the moment. A lot of people going with those hard tyres at the moment, so maybe that's what they're thinking long term tonight, or maybe it's just a case of feeling how the track is under these lights this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there is that split of drivers that are all, I say that the ones that are on the outlap have all decided to go for that harder compound, that hard tyre, the white walled rubber, and it will give you this benefit. Of course, I'm expected to see the majority of the guys qualify on that hard or possibly the medium tyre. It's the soft tyre around here doesn't tend to last too long, very easy to overheat it around here as well, so someone, if they want to get themselves right up in the thick end of it and right arm towards the sharp end of the grid at the start, maybe will go for that soft and go for a very aggressive strategy come the race. But yeah, you can see everyone on an outlap so far has decided to go, apart from just looking out there at the likes of Foxy Red and Luke have gone for the soft tyres, but everyone else gone for that white-walled hard tyre.
Yes, they have. We've got a yellow flag already in Sector 2. I'm assuming it's just for letting people by. We're starting to see a few guys now coming around towards starting their first fly up, as White Fountain has just joined now, so maybe he had a few issues. I'm currently riding on board with the Ferrari driver of Burmeister. Burmeister, he's had a tricky season so far. He's shown potential, I think, to have some good races, but unfortunately it's just not gone quite his way. He's currently out there on that white walled hard tyre at the moment, as he's through the second DRS sector now of the lap, as he's got a bit of traffic ahead of him, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue for him.
No, it shouldn't be, as we can see on board with Scott here, nicely turned into the hairpin turn at turn 8. Now it is downhill, going left and left and left and left, and you've got to really scrub off that speed to get to that tight apex there that runs in towards turn 10. DRS now wide open for the Mercedes driver, and it's Scott, we've noted several times this season, it's just not gone his way so far, and the Mercedes driver is well off the pace. He's a former champion here at Invictus, and just this season he said to us previously that he just hasn't had the chance to get in the groove. He's not had enough testing behind the scenes, and it's really shown on track, and it's a track that Scott's done well at in the past. He'll be looking for a much more positive result this week, and with his teammate and current F1 champion Charlie doing much better in the championship currently, as Scott has knocked off the top spot immediately Hercules, who does a 28.6, way faster than what Scott did, that 29.3 there. So great lap from Hercules on the hard tyre, but Scott really needs to pick up the pace in this second half of the season if he is to kind of hold on to this Constructors' Champion that he held with Charlie last season.
Yeah, I agree. It's a shame, isn't it, that he's not been able to get the laps and practice under his belt behind the scenes. We know what he's capable of, and when he's able to get the practice in, he's usually at the very front. But that is a super lap there from Hercules, especially because Zyman has just put in a 1:28.7 on the soft tyre, 2 steps softer than the hard tyre, and Zyman cannot beat Hercules on those hard tyres. So that is some lap there from Hercules, an early benchmark there for people to beat, as just riding on board with Foxy. He does like he always seems to do in qualifying, just getting a feel for the track. He's out there on the soft tyre now. He's just going to come across the finish line now for his first line. What he's going to do, he's going to jump up to P9. So yeah, as I was saying, he's just getting out there at the minute, just feeling how the track is, and seeing what he can do around here.
Yeah, Just getting those feelers out, just seeing what the grip level is like out on circuit. Of course, start of qualifying, the track won't be rubbered in, it'll be slightly dusty due to the fact that, of course, we're in the middle of the desert. We've got yellow in sector 2 and sector 3, probably just slow cars on their outlap getting out the way. You can see those brake discs glowing orange on the Williams of Harry as he comes across the line to set his first time. It goes up onto second row. The grid provisionally a 1:28.962 puts him around about 2/10 off of the front row, which is, as you said, currently occupied by both the Red Bull drivers of Hercules and Simon. And yeah, it's a pretty explosive lap there from Hercules, 3/10 faster than Charlie in third position. So it's a great lap from the German. We've also got the likes of the Warris Lander. He's on an outlap now. We know that Warris is just mega in qualifying, and he always seems to pull out a good lap this season. And last week it was a much better result for him. He was able to somewhat pick it up in the race session, because it was something he was struggling with in really the first stages of this season.
Yeah, it was. He had the pace, didn't he? And he's certainly shown that in qualifying, and even back in Hungary when he was battling for the lead then, and unfortunately ended up losing the car, which cost him a podium place in the end that day. And that day he thoroughly deserved a podium, and I think it'll be a huge sigh of relief last week that he did finally get that podium. And now, for his sake, let's hope he can push on now and use this as a good incentive to push on and get the points. I reckon he'll be as Meg Luppy has been disqualified from the session for parking in a dangerous location. So not have a clue what's happened there with Meg Luppy, but that is him out of the session. Warris Lander's teammate Meg, and that's a disaster for him in qualifying.
It is, and yeah, it's one of those things, Randy. We've got the admin leaving the session, which may indicate we might have a restart to qualifying. So bear with us whilst we get this rectified, guys. We will, yeah, just in the message, we will be restarting qualifying, and that was due, I believe, to the fact that White Fountain was unable to join us from the start of the session. And so for his benefit, we will be restarting the session, which, don't worry, we're only under 8 minutes in, so these guys will just have used this as a final practice lap and a final practice session here. So I imagine the only person out there that will be slightly dismayed will be Hercules for that 1:28.6 that he managed to do on those hard tyres. He's going to have to replicate that in around about 5 minutes time when we restart the session. So bear with us 2 seconds, guys, and we will leave the session and we'll head back into a new lobby. But whilst we do that, and whilst we wait for the new lobby to set up, we can just quickly go through. We were talking to a couple of the guys outside of the race just before, of course, this week started. And one of them, of course, was, as you saw, the admin there, Maglupi, who, by the looks of it, was not disqualified for parking on track. He was, of course, just putting it in a very convenient location to end the session for everyone. But I was speaking to him before the race, and I said he seemingly had some good pace in qualifying. We've seen Meg do well in qualifying, but it's been a brutal return in terms of points for him this season compared to what we've seen from him in the past. Of course, he's been a champion in multiple series beforehand, and it's just not really gone his way so far this season. And yeah, he just agreed with me. He said that it's not been a great season for him, just poor driving, poor consistency, and equally we've seen him with really bad luck picking up issues and incidents out of his control. And yeah, and equally that he was talking about the fact that driving in this league is a huge step up in pace, but equally it's good to kind of challenge yourself up against those faster drivers. And using that, we can obviously relate that to you, Sab, because it was something that you did this season. You moved up from IRL F3 up to F2, and how did you find that pace increase, but equally that sort of having to raise your own standard, your own game when it comes to moving up to a higher league with drivers that are possibly sort of like that upper echelon of where you would want to be?
It's certainly an eye opener, I have to say. I didn't obviously win F3. I wanted to improve myself and be able to test myself better against better guys. And I'll be honest with you, starting F2 and getting into it straight away was a real eye opener, but it made me realise that I need to really up my game in F2. It's fiercely competitive F2 this season, and it's just one of those. The way I take it is I like to take it one race at a time, because if you try and start aiming at like a level of amount of points you think you should be able to achieve, or where you think you should be qualifying, or where you should be finishing a race, and you don't achieve those early on in a new league, you can find yourself quite disheartened by it. So what I've been trying to aim to do is just see what I can get out of each race, try and maximise each race as possible. For example, last week I had an issue where I had damage with my front wing and had to come in early on around Baku. Baku's typical, isn't it, for picking up damage in your front wing? But just my biggest problem was in previous races was I found myself getting frustrated when issues like this would happen. But you've just got to try and stick with it and get along with it. And F2 is certainly, in my opinion, it's certainly helped raise my game better. I feel this season especially I've performed better in the likes of the Performance League, what I'm also racing in. So in that aspect, it has helped stepping up into F2. But in other aspects as well, it can be very daunting, and it can be very intimidating as well, because you see people on pole position who are qualifying maybe 1 second, 1.5 seconds faster than you. You think, am I really supposed to be in this league? But you've just got to use it as a target, I think, long term, and say, this is what I've got to aim to achieve. And so far, in my opinion, way my F2 season's gone, it's pretty much where I would expect to be. I've scored points in most of my races I've been part of, and my next aim would probably be, after this season, once I've gone through the seasons, to try and take one step further and try and score more points than that, and try and qualify a bit better, because I've found qualifying very tough this year, as I am, for some reason, been put in a car, even though I was spectating. So that's not good, is it?
It's not indeed, which usually means that I'll be trying to bring this one solo, unless you want to get into retiring as soon as possible. Obviously, we were just talking about you making the jump up to F2. I didn't realise you wanted to make the jump up to F1 as well. So
I promise you, I did click spectate, but for some reason it's put me in a car. So bear with me. I will retire as promptly as possible. And yeah, this is going to be alright. Now, if I take part in this session, I'm currently in a Williams. So would it be better if I retired or quit and get an invite back in?
I will let you make that decision. You're more than welcome to retire. Although quitting, I believe, would mean that you would leave the session, so you wouldn't have to do it during the race. So that's your two choices. But
yeah, I will quit, I think. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know. Must have had an issue there. I don't understand what's happened. But I will back out of it and rejoin in a second. But that was certainly not what I was expecting. Jumping up to F2, that's fine. But jumping up to no assists, God no. And not against these guys. These are absolutely superb. But I'll let you carry on into the session while I quickly make an adjustment back onto my game.
I will carry on, of course, and we will go and back out on board with the two drivers that left first time round in the course. It is once again, it's Boy Better Know and it's Hercules, both of them out there looking at setting an early lap. You can see the Red Bull and the McLaren, two drivers that we're expecting to be relatively competitive come the race time. And if it's anything from what Hercules did in that first no-go qualifying session, where he set that blistering time on the hard tyres, we can expect to see the Red Bull want to get towards the head of the pack, set a good lap, come in and just see if anyone else can beat it, because at the time when we got 8 minutes in, no one else had got anywhere near it. So yeah, it's going to be a fascinating watch in qualifying to see if Hercules can do another mega lap on those tyres. Equally, if that man behind him, Scott Boy Ben OSB, can get closer than what he did last time when he was on those hard tyres, was unable to get within, I think it was 7/10 of Hercules there. So that's a lot of time on the table to be found if you're the Mercedes driver. And yeah, so guys, as I said, it's a bit of a disruptive start to the race, and we apologise for that. But welcome, we welcome you here for the IRL F1 League here on Monday night, as usual with Sav and I. And it is round 7 here in Bahrain. and we are back as usual in 2020 for some more racing, plenty more racing this season. 6 races to go and 5 after this one, of course, towards the end of the season. The championship wide open, but with Jumpalainen sitting at the head of that table. 30-point advantage he's got at the moment, so it's a bit of a gap, but it's well within reach with a couple of poor results like we saw Jumpalainen have earlier this season. He can be easily reeled in as Hercules now heading up towards turn 4, now towards what I would think is probably the trickiest part of the circuit to get right, actually. This slight kink between 5, 6 and 7. Very easy to get up on the curb, and you can see there Hercules just riding that curb a little bit too much. It bottoms out underneath the car, which just puts you off ever so slightly, or just maybe cut a tenth or two off of his time. Now it's downhill, just off cambered to this left-hander. Very easy to kick the rear end out and lose way more time spinning those tyres up. But it looks like it's a controlled exit from the German driver as he heads down the second DRS straight towards turn 11. Uses the curbs on the outside to turn in very tidily indeed. Now equally, this right-hand corner here, don't get it up onto the curb, but that's another corner that will really get underneath the car, and it does not like it at all. And unfortunately, the downforce levels go all over the place, and you'll find yourself pointing in the wrong direction in a heartbeat. But now Hercules coming up to the final 2 corners, turn 14 and turn 15, very, very close together. Exits the final corner. Kicks the rear end out a little bit, so it's a bit scruffier, and you can tell that it's a 28.7, so it's a tenth and a bit slower than his previous best, and we'll see if he can improve later on in the session. Who else is coming across the line? I believe Scott was not too far away. Harry does a 31.8, so not a great lap there from Harry, who was saying earlier this week that qualifying's been a bit of an issue for him. So if he's going to put laps like that in, he's going to need to struggle towards the rear end of the pack. But Klaskova, our driver in his second race, goes a 30 flat. He's immediately beaten by Luke, who goes up onto the first row of the grid with 29.4. Good lap there from Luke. But as you can see, Charlie there, a 29 flat, just above the 29s there, but still 0.3 of a second behind Hercules.
I'm back now, even though it does still say my name on there. I've been advised to leave the session just before the race starts, so hopefully it'll not interrupt. But yes, we are seeing a flurry of guys already setting times on those hard tyres. Sam there jumping up in second place with a 1:28.9, so a couple of tenths off Hercules. Hercules, like you said, is just about a tenth down, isn't he, on the time he set just before we had to have the restart on the lobby. So he'll be a little frustrated with that, but at the moment he's still the benchmark to beat here. Jumpalainen at the moment, the championship leader, he's out there on the soft tyre at the moment. I don't know if he's going out there just to have a feel of the track, similar to what Foxy has done, but Jumpalainen on the soft tyre, and you imagine if he's really going to go for it, he would surely beat Hercules on that much softer set of tyres. But at the moment, I'm just riding on board with him. It looks a little scruffy, so maybe he's just out there just getting a feel of how the track is so far.
Yeah, as Adrian Lockdock comes across the line and goes 5th with 1:29.313. Now we know that Adri is good here. He did very well in no assists last season here and was really pushing for a podium position late in the race. So he's definitely one of those sleepers tonight that you've got to keep an eye on, because the Renault driver could really pull something out. And that 29.3 has got him up towards the top end of the field, and he's got himself ahead of the likes of, well, you can see there, he's got himself the likes of Alex, who's equally one of those drivers that you have to keep an eye on. And we've got the likes of White Fountain, who I believe is on a lap now. So we'll check in with Fountain. Of course, he's coming up to the third. He's coming around the third sector now, coming up to turn 13, I believe it is, and that's stretched down towards the final corner in the Haas. And of course, the Belgian driver doing very nicely indeed, using that curbing to perfection to get a decent run out of the final corner. And it looks like the car was pretty stable on the exit there. DRS opens for him and up into 6th position. It's a 29.31, 3.31. Puts himself 200th of a second behind Adri. So that shows Adri, great lap from the Renault.
Yeah, definitely, and hopefully for his sake he can qualify right up there this evening. Jumpalainen, who I pointed out earlier, he must have invalidated during that lap because he crossed the line and didn't set a time. He's going out there again, and maybe coming back into the pits, or maybe just going for one more run, as we see a few other guys now setting times. We've got Meg Luppy now. Now he's not parked on the track. He's now on his way around for his first lap of the session. DRS wide open down that back straight now. A little lock up there to go around that sweeping left and then sweeping right turns there in his McLaren. Meg Luppy will be certainly hoping for a better result than the first qualifying session we had issues with, as he's coming now. He runs a little wide there. I don't know if that'll be classed as invalidation. Meg Luppy now coming down to the final corner. What can he set in the McLaren? His teammate Warrislander is also starting his first flying lap as well on the hard tyres. So Meg Luppy comes now. He's going to have DRS wide open, crossing the line. And Meg Luppy jumps up to P10 with a 1:29.3. So it's very, very close, isn't it? If you look there, Adrian Lockdock down to Boy Better Know. There is barely a tenth of a second in it. That is very, very close.
It is indeed, and it shows you just how strong this league is. We've got several drivers all within fractions of a second of each other, but at the head of the field, and 128.757, you've got Hercules, who's put a set of the mediums on in the pit lane, so he's thinking about that softer run later in the session. Like I said in that first qualifying session, it's the track to start with. It's a bit dusty. It's not particularly grippy, so it will get much faster. So I expect these times to fall as Warrislander trying to use the slipstream of the Toro Rosso. They're down into the final corner. They're just sneakily trying to get up a little bit more speed as he heads down towards the final corner. What can he do? Wow! It's a 28.7 flat. So yeah, it beats out Hercules by just under half a tenth. So yeah, great lap there from the young Dutchman in the McLaren. Puts himself right to the top. And yeah, we thought Hercules' lap was good. Warrislander, well, like we said, we said it at the start of the first qualifying session, he often pulls out these mega laps in qualifying, and he's done it once again.
Yeah, he has. That was a super lap, and just want to point out, Meg Luppy is not in the session. He's retired from the session, so that will be him at the moment. He's currently at best P12, so Warrislander's teammate not having a good session. I just want to also say I'm right on board with Charlie at the moment. He's the first guys to really go for it on the medium tyre. He's on a lap now on the medium tyre. It'd be very interesting to see what he can do. Can he get close to the Warrislander? You would imagine with that softer rubber, he would get right up there. If he gets a good lap in, he's 1:29.002 of his first lap, but I think that was on the hard tyre, so surely if he gets a good lap here, he should promote him right up the front. But yeah, at the moment, the likes of FPL Charlie and especially Boy Better Know, just struggling ever so slightly, but it'd be fascinating to see how Charlie does these next few laps, a few corners, on those medium tyres.
Yep, the number 2 numbered Mercedes there. I'm not allowed to say the number 2 Mercedes because he gets cross with me. But here he comes into turn 12, into turn 13, and Charlie, the first one that's going to be out there, runs wide on the exit of turn 13, but he's going to be heading down towards turn 14 now. That would have cost him a little bit of time, so we'll see if he sticks with this one, using that curbing on the outside of turn 14, exiting the front corner, getting a little bit out of shape. Then he does bail out of it. So yeah, possibly running wide has cost him that time, or even invalidated the lap for him. But you can see a number of drivers now starting to think about that medium tyre strategy come the race. And with 7 minutes left to go, plenty of time for change. And in fact, we'll check him in with Jumper Line, and we haven't been on board with him so far this season. Out there with 7 minutes to go on the soft tyre. Now, Sab, we saw him earlier this season go for an aggressive strategy. I believe it was in Germany that he went for the aggressive strategy. And it looks as though the Finn has decided to do the same thing again.
Yeah, we were all unsure what he was doing, wasn't he? But he obviously knew better than we did. He started soft and went to hard, and you think surely he can't make a one-stop last, and he sure as hell did. And tonight, you just wouldn't put it past him after seeing that. He's on that soft tyre now. What can he possibly do on that time? You'd imagine John Polainen, as quick as he's been all season, if he nails the lap, it'll put him at the very front of the order. We've not got many other guys out there at the moment. He's just run very, very wide there. That was That was bizarre. I don't know if you caught that as well, but John Pine almost took out one of the breaker board signs there, but he's still going, just running a slight tad wide again. I don't know if he's just having some setup issues or just not feeling the track at the moment, but it just looks scruffy out there at the moment for him. Will he be seeing it out? He's just coming around the final corner now, or is he just going to bail on this? He's headed towards the line now, and he's bailing on it. So yeah, it's been a very tough session so far for John Pine. I'd be very surprised as well if he does end up qualifying at the back.
Yeah, uncharacteristically, mistake-strewn lap there from jumper line and out there on those soft tyres, and that's probably those tyres burnt for him, so he's going to have to come up with a different plan. If he is to go out there, it's most likely to be, I imagine, unless he's got a second set of those softs waiting for him, he might come back out on the medium tyres, but he's yet to set a time, so he's down in 18th position, and along with yourself, the only one not to set a time this evening. So what are you doing? Get out on track. And
Epic fail.
But we are on board here with Luke in the Ferrari, and he's coming up to the second. Well, he's just entered the second DRS straight down towards turn 11. And these guys here using the curbs very nicely indeed. You can see that they've been putting some practice in to find out where the grip level is, where the turning points are. And the Ferrari currently sitting in 9th position on a 29.1, fractionally ahead of fractionally behind, I should say, sorry, of Burmeister. Those two split by less than the blink. But we'll see if Luke can improve on these medium tyres coming out of the final corner, keeps it off of the outside line, so that's going to keep the dust off the tyres. What can he do on those mediums? It's currently up into the pole position. It's a 28.4, so the first one out there on the medium tyres, straight to the top, but only 0.3 faster than Warrislander. So now you're thinking, how fast can Warrislander go? And we're about to find out, because we've only got 4 minutes and 15 seconds left to go, and with Hercules now making his way out on track, the big boys, and as we see, Speed Queen on the soft tyres has decided to go for it. She's gone aggressive, a 1:27.8, and that's going to be hard to beat. Even these guys are mega fast on the mediums. And will that change some people's the strategy calls when they're sitting in the pit lane yet to come out? Will they think, God, do I go for it and just get myself towards the head of the field?
It's interesting, isn't it? I was riding on Speed Queen for that whole lap, and it was a good lap. She smooth as you like from Speed Queen. We know what she can do when she's really on it, and that will have opened some eyes, like you say, because these guys are sat in the pit lane now, just about to come out, and will have seen that there's a soft time been set now. So do these medium guys think, oh, we'll still stick to what we're doing, and know that she's going to have to pit much sooner than us on the medium tyre? You'd imagine that's how they would go. Speed Queen is, if she stays there, is just going to have to go for it really aggressively and try and build a gap so she can pit in and make this strategy work, because it's going to be one hell of a strategy if she can pull it off. But it's good to see, isn't it, I have to say, Speed Queen at the very top of the qualifying sessions. We haven't seen it much of recently, and I've always tried to be encouraging of seeing Speed Queen, because we just know how quick and smooth and efficient she is around a race circuit, and to see her right at the very top, it's very good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And although, of course, she is on those softer tyres, it is good to see that Toro Rosso driver back at the top, because it's somewhere, of course, a 3-time champion here in Invictus previously. So she's got plenty of pedigree when it comes to picking up wins and picking up championships. But can she maintain it? Because we've now got the likes of Hercules, Harry, and even Fountain out on his outlap. Warrislander's on his outlap. So plenty of drivers out there looking to overthrow her position. Hercules currently going just under 0.9 of a second quicker with 2 corners left to go. So he's going to be challenging out the front. We've just seen Alex go up into 4th position there. So the second Toro Rosso on the second row of the grid currently. But I imagine he's about to get knocked down. Here comes Hercules across the line. What can he do? Whoa, it's a 27.6 on those mediums. He is going absolutely mega fast tonight, and the German driver is going to be, or it's going to take some beating, but if it's going to be anyone, it looks like it's going to be Warrislander.
Well, look at that lap from Scott there. Boy better know has just jumped up to P3 with a 1:27.9. He's only less than a tenth off a Speed Queen's time on the soft tyre. Yes, he's about 3/10 off a Hercules, but that is a mighty lap from Boy better know there. To say he's not really had much chance of practice and it's been a tough season for him, that really is an eye-opener, because Harry, just previously I was right on board with, he jumped up 2 at the point with a 1:28 flat. So Scott has beaten Harry at the moment there, and be fascinating to see is John Perline. And there you go, John Perline. We potentially doubted him, wasn't we? But he's gone out there on those medium tires with a 1:27.8. It's showing you though, doesn't it, how mighty that lap was from Hercules, because at the moment it doesn't like anybody can get near it.
No, not at all. 2/10 gap between Hercules and Jumperline. We're on board with White Fountain, and we say each week that he can pull a lap out of absolutely nowhere. So we'll see. With 30 seconds left to go in the session, he's going to have the time to finish this one, but I doubt he's going to want to set another one on those tyres, because here comes the Belgian driver. What can he do? Hercules is currently at 1:27.6. Can he get anywhere close to that? It's not. It's only a 27.9. Only good enough for 5th position. Where is the Warrislander? Warrislander, we know, had a decent lap earlier, but he's going to have to improve if he is to get himself towards the pole position. Once again, across the line comes the Dutchman. It's only 2nd position. It's by 0.06 of a second he's missed out on the pole. But Hercules is currently the pole sitter. Who else is out on track? We've got Zyman, who is still out there at the moment. Infinity and Class have decided to go for the soft tyres. So what can they do on that soft rubber? Can they knock Hercules off of the pole? He's currently sitting on, time has expired in the session, so now we will not see any improvements apart from the guys that are finishing up there now. Class going up from 18th into 9th into the top 10. Where is Infinity on track? The Renault driver did very well, got his best result of the season last week in Azerbaijan. Infinity currently out on track in the 2nd sector, just coming into the 3rd now. Can he improve in the Renault? We've got Warrislander. Jumperline is finished in 3rd. Time has expired for everyone else. It's only Infinity, I believe, that's going to improve. Perhaps even Luke. Luke sitting in 12th position. He's coming up to the line as well momentarily. Can Luke improve? We've got Infinity on board right now as the Renault goes into the pit lane, whilst I saw a jump up there for, I believe that was, where was that? Someone moved up. It's completely lost for me, but it is Hercules. There is your pole position sitter for this evening. Absolutely mega lap from the German driver. Warrislander in 2nd position, just couldn't quite make up that difference, but those two split by 0.06 of a second. And then Fountain around about 10th away. Jumperline, who, in fact, it was the White Fountain that moved up. I saw someone did move up. It was Fountain that did go for a 2nd lap on those mediums, so he's improved up to 3rd. So he's got himself up onto the 2nd row, but it's it's Fountain that's decided to go for an extra lap on those medium tyres. Will that hurt him come the race? We'll find out in a few minutes' time. Jumperline in 4th position, but Sab, mega lap from Hercules.
Yeah, once again, he comes into a race with us and just shows you what he can do. He's going to be the one to beat tonight. Warrislander, superb as well, to just jump ahead of John Perline there, with White Fountain as well jumping ahead of John Perline. And so it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see what these guys can do from the start. But you have to have your money on, I would say, you'd have to have your money on Hercules at the moment. He just, whenever he comes into a race at a minute, he just sets that bar even higher, doesn't he? And makes it even harder for these guys to challenge for race victories. So what a lap that was from Hercules. If he can get away at the start, it'll surely be tough for the guy chasing cars behind to keep up with him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's started 2 races this season and he's finished at the top for both of those races, back in Silverstone and in the USA. at Kota. So yeah, he's got that 100% win record under his belt, and he's been looking at holding on to it with this race here in Bahrain. But he is under threat from Warislander, who sits in second position, and those two were very, very evenly matched in qualifying. And of course, guys, whilst we've got this break, whilst the guys are making their setups, tweaking how they're going to be making those pit stops, we'll just quickly let you know what's going on for the rest of the week here at Invictus. Tuesday nights is the Realistic Performance League with Tim and Malc in the commentary box. They'll be here in Bahrain for their 6th round of the season, and 7th round, sorry. and then on Wednesday night, 2 leagues on a Wednesday night, Equal Performance F2 and F3, and that will be Warislander and Energy Dan covering F2, and Tim and Malc rejoining for F3. So those two will be on Wednesday night. So make sure that you're not subscribed. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, click that button just below the video right now. Get subscribed, ding the bell to be notified every time we go live with a new video. And equally, if you haven't checked us out on the socials, Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus Racing League on Facebook, where you can find all things from race highlights to qualifying laps to all these absolutely fantastic stats and facts that one of our community and admins, MJ Coop, is managing to collate for us, and equally all other photo albums. And if you've got any questions, of course, send them across either in the chat. If you've got any comments about the race, put them in the chat, put them in the comments this evening. If you're enjoying it and you're enjoying the stream, make sure you press that like button. And of course, guys, if you'd like to see anything else, let us know. You can go to Twitter at InvictusRL for us, at GT2_driving for myself, at Alan Sabatino for Sab for that. And yeah, we will be back every Monday, of course, covering the IRL F1 League for the next few weeks. And plenty more racing, Sab. And Jump Line, and we were saying earlier, he's got that, I said 30 point, he's got a 20-point advantage in the championship. So it's still easily within reach of these guys.
It is, but they've got to make sure that John Polanen doesn't start to build good momentum. He got good. We wasn't expecting him to get the victory last week, was he? Because he found early on quite difficult, but as soon as he got ahead of White Fountain, he just went off into the distance. And these guys have just got to be wary of that. They can't allow him to get that momentum built and be able to get him out into clear air, because as soon as he gets into clear air, he's usually long gone. But with Hercules in the session tonight as well, you would imagine it's going to be even tougher for John Polanen. But he thoroughly deserves to be where he is right now, because he is the man to be beaten. He's the man who's won 3 races so far this season. He's done pretty much everything what is expected of him. So if he just carries on the way he's going, these guys are really going to struggle. But tonight, I just can't predict it. I don't know about you, but you see the guys now on their outlap as we see Hercules leading them around. Who would you go for this? Because Hercules is just looking that much quicker, isn't he, at the moment? But you can never rule out the Warislander, White Fountain as well, and even Jump Line behind. So for me, it's between the top 4, but who knows from the chasing pack behind as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, it's very, very hard to choose a driver this evening. It's got a standout chance, but it is Hercules and Warislander that seem to be in a slight class above the rest. White Fountain a 10th and a half behind them. He sits in third position. Jump Line, and the current points leader, in 4th is Speed Queen on the soft tyre. So watch out for her at the start of the race. She's going to be lightning off the line in 5th in the Toro Rosso, whilst Scott Boyben OSB sits in 6th alongside Harry. Samu Pepito, we didn't really talk about him in qualifying, only 8th position for Sam, not a great session for the Spaniard, whilst Classic and Foxy make it at Alfa Romeo 9th and 10th. Zyman starts outside of the top 10, but of course on the strategy where it allows you to choose those tyres for the race, he will be in 11th on the medium tyres with Luke Charlie back in 13th, who equally didn't have a great qualifying session. Charlie way down the order as Hercules spins it out of the final corner, trying to get some temperature into those tyres, into the gravel. So that's going to cost the German big time when it comes to the end as well. Not only will be somewhat blushing with being caught on stream, just kicking the tyre out and spinning it into the wall, but possibly just taking a little bit of temperature out of those tyres at the absolutely wrong point, which is when you're about to line up onto the grid. But just quickly finishing off the line, we've got Alex in 14th with Burmeister 15th, Adri is in 16th, Meg down in 17th, Infinity is your final runner in 18th, and ignore the Racing Point at the back. And we've got the grid now lined up, ready to go for the start of the race. Hercules in the Red Bull is going to lead us off the line with Worislander, who can get the jump on it. It's a good start from Hercules, who gets a good launch. But look at White Fountain. That's a great launch for the Hash driver behind. He's going to shadow these two. But Worislander, the inside line down into turn one. Can he get ahead? No, he's not. But in fact, White Fountain's going to take the outside line and get up into second position. Great start from Fountain around the outside. Worislander down to third. Speed Queen, she's managed to jump up past Jumperlinen, who's dropped all the way down to 7th position. So Jumperlinen, not a great start whatsoever. He's been swamped to the back with Klasky moving up past him as well. Got a yellow in sector 1, possible contact at turn 4 there, but we'll see. It's a great start from Fountain up into second position. Warris now hounding the back end of the Belgian driver as they go down into turn 8 for the first time, but it's a great start from Hercules up in or maintaining first position, just about fending off White Fountain in second.
I'm back now, so I apologise about all of that. Jump line, as you say, terrible start from him. It'd be fascinating to see what he can do. I didn't quite see if he picked up any damage or anything, but the moment Worislander now behind Adriotdoc, he's 1.7 seconds behind the Renault, so a lot of work there to be done for the Racing Point driver. But like you say, the perfect start for Hercules. He needed to get away clean, and he has done, and now it's all about building that gap. And at the moment, White Fountain is nearly a second off already of Hercules. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2 there, and it looks like CPI Alex has had an issue there and he's gone off. So unfortunately CPI Alex has fallen away, and that's allowed John Pine to at least make one position up. So Hercules there getting the job done early on. He's already built that 1 second gap, so if when DRS becomes available, White Fountain won't be able to help defend against it from the Worislander, who is hounding that Haas driver.
Into the pit lane comes Classified DK and Jumperlinen. An issue on the first lap has dropped him all the way down to the back of the field. So he's got a lot of work to do, and that's going to really, really harm the championship leaders' points chances, and equally their chance of picking up a decent race tonight, because it's going to be a really hard strategy from now on for him. He's going to have to really, have to hope for possibly a safety car, but even then that's going to be a bit of a stretch. And we had Klaskifar moving down off the soft tyre. He's going to have to pit in for a new set of tyres, and possible contact between the two. They were side by side going into turn 4. And as we'll go on board here with Harry, and Harry not sitting too far behind Scott, and but everyone sort of neatly within that 1 second bubble of each other at the moment. You can see Meg Ludby up from 17th up to 13th position. He's made some good moves, and equally you've got Foxy Red Zyman up into the top 10 in 9th position. It's just the Worislander that's dropped back that 1 place off of second position down to third. White Fountain getting a great launch off the line, going around the outside of Worislander into turn 1.
We've currently got Speed Queen. I'm keeping an eye on Speed Queen, because it'd be interesting to see what she does on those soft tyres and how long she can stay out on those soft tyres. She's managing to hang on to the back of the Worislander at the moment, so there's still life in there. But she's got Boy Better Know for company. He's hanging on to the back of that Toro Rosso car at the moment. He's having a good start himself, Boy Better Know. He's up 1 position into 5th place, and he just needs to remain calm, I think, because he knows Speed Queen, her tyres will eventually go off soon as she locks up just ahead of him, and he'll know at some point he'll be able to get the jump on her, as those tyres, those soft tyres, will eventually wear out quite quickly. So I think it's just a case of being patient from Scott here, and not try to trip over Speed Queen when those tyres do eventually start to fall off the cliff.
Yep. We've got two battles going on at the moment between Charlie and Simon, and Burmeister and Meg Lugby trading positions down the main straight and through the exit of turn 1 and turn 2. But Charlie sitting 0.4 of a second behind Simon. You can see these guys here all within the same shot. We've got the Alfa Romeo trading positions with Sam there as Foxy Red goes up into 7th position. Good move from the Alfa, just about gets past the Spaniard. But you can see just how close it is at the moment. We've got Hercules, he's not outside, he's just broken that DRS now, just goes over the 1 second line. And then behind, 1.5 seconds behind is Warislander, who's under threat from Speed Queen. We'll go on board with her now as she starts to chase down the Dutchman, and she's well within shot of him. Of course, he's not going to have any DRS to defend from her behind, so here comes the Toro Rosso driver. He's already gone to the inside line. She's going to have to go the long way round through the outside, but it's with that extra grip on those soft tyres. She's got the move done. Great move there around the outside for Speed Queen. Scott behind.
Oh no!
What's
Sorry
happened,
to interrupt. Sorry, turn 1, Charlie dived in the inside of Simon, and Simon was trying to stay at the right-hand side, around the outside, and they've touched, and Charlie was pretty much sideways going into turn 2, and they're still side by side now, Charlie and Simon, and they've got LER Luke close behind now, but these guys are trading paint and trading positions at every single corner as Charlie locks up and goes deep into that corner as... Yeah, Luke now takes ahead of Simon, but it was a daring move there from Charlie. As Simon tries to send one now on the outside of Luke, so it's all swapping positions down in 9th place at the moment. But Charlie just about hangs on to that position as Simon is trying to get back on the Ferrari of Luke as he's down the inside now and just about keeps his position. But yeah, I thought those two were gonna just take each other out, but somehow they managed to just have a gentle tap. And Charlie's just about got away with it.
I couldn't take my eyes off of the fight between Speed Queen, Harry and Boy Better Know, though. Through the whole of the second sector, those three were just moving around the track trying to find positions. Scott all over the back of Speed Queen, and in the end he ended up losing the position to Harry, who threw it down the inside going into turn 10. Great racing between the two of them. We've now got Simon being lined up by the Ferrari once again. Here comes Luke to the inside of the Red Bull into the first corner. Can he get it slowed down? It looks like as though there's just about the two wheels kissing between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. He's going to have to go for a second round here on Simon down in towards turn 4. Can he get the move done? He's going to send it up the inside. Can Simon fight back? He's going to stick with it. This is great defensive move from the Swedish driver in the Red Bull. Nicely done by there from Simon to hold off Luke, who looked like he was about to get the move done.
Scott and Harry, as you were talking about, they were trading places once again. Harry's just about hanging on to that 5th place position. He's slight lock up there. Harry, who has got DRS, so that will help him defend against Scott. Harry trying to focus on catching up with Speed Queen, whose tyres are still hanging on in there. She's still hanging on to the back of Warislander, who Warislander himself has fallen 2.5 seconds behind Whitefire. So it's a super little battle here for potentially 3rd place between 4 cars at the moment. Harry, he's having to have two pairs of eyes at the moment, one to look behind and one to look forward as he's trying to challenge with Speed Queen, and he's got Boy Better Know behind and Fox Red, who's not too far behind Boy Better Know, and dragging along Sam as well. So an absolute mega battle on hand here for 3rd place.
As Hercules does the fastest lap of the race of 31.5, so the leader is just starting to stretch his legs somewhat, but here comes Scott on Harry as Warislander and Speed Queen battle over 3rd position. Speed Queen trying to do the move once again, but it's not going to work out this time, and we've now got Harry lining up Speed Queen down into turn 4. He's up the inside, he's got the move done. Is she going to try and stick with it? Great shot from the helicopter here, and Harry sticking with the move, not allowing her any space on the exit. And the Williams once again just making that sneaky move, making use of the fact that she was involved in the battle, and he moves up into 4th position. Great driving flair from Harry in the Williams, but this trail of cars all following Warislander now, and Warris after that mega lap in qualifying that was only able to get him second position, even though on any other day he probably would have taken pole by a country mile. He's starting to fall back from White Fountain, who is equally 3 seconds off Hercules, but this battle for third position now goes all the way down to 8th place. So these guys, I can imagine, will be just trying to work out where's the best spot to put your points and make your move here, because as we've seen, as Morris Lander goes deep, and that's going to allow Harry an easy position straight up the inside of the McLaren. But now Morris Lando is going to battle back. He's right in the toe of Harry. Now, is he going to be smart here? Think about the DRS. He is. He sticks in the toe of the Williams. Doesn't want to get past just yet, but he is now under threat from Speed Queen into, or it looks like Harry was about to come into the pit lane. That was such a late sweep. He sticks out with it. But we've got, what a trail of cars, 2 wide, 3 wide down there from the back, and Warrisland around the outside of Harry. These two still training positions, both of them kicking the rear end out as they put the throttle down. This is almost like drift work at the exit of turn 1. Warrislander back into the toe. Great move here from Harry. And I'm starting to lose all sorts of air into my lungs, Sab. What is going on?
That was fascinating. I was riding on board with Speed Queen to get the perfect view of these two. And like you say, it was like drift cars at one point between Harry and Warrislander. Speed Queen had the perfect view. But the problem is she would have been keeping an eye on that. Whereas Boy Better Know, just behind, is pretty much pushing that Toro Rosso along now. He'll be starting to, imagine, get really frustrated because he knows he's got an Alfa Romeo and a Haas not far behind, putting him under pressure, as now Scott is thinking about one round the outside of Speed Queen. Surely not there, but no, Scott thinks better of it and thinks probably wait until the DRS zone and then have a go there. But it looks like now Harry, now he's settled down a bit, he's starting to just pull away a little bit. Oh, there we go, Scott and Speed Queen. I said Scott was going to wait for the DRS zone. No, he's not. And is that going to be a mistake from Scott? Because that is going to allow Speed Queen to have the DRS zone. Do you think now Speed Queen's tyres are starting to fall away from her? Because she's now starting to fall back from the pack now. She's staying out once again. But the moment she looks like she's about to have both Foxy Red and Sam put pressure on her for 6th place. Can she keep hold of it? Foxy Red there. They just touched, they banged side pods there. Surely not. Wow. That is a brave move from Foxy. He just about forces his way through there and takes 6th place from Speed Queen. And Sam now thinks, I'll take both of you. And what a move that was. It's from Sam. But Foxy is still not having any of it. And Foxy comes back. Wow. And I just impossible to keep up with this a minute. That was some great battling there, and I'm amazed no one really got punished through all that. But yeah, Speed Queen is falling away now, and I'd imagine she's probably going to have to pit in any time now. Over to you.
I am sitting here smiling watching this. This is so much fun to watch these guys go at it. Hammer and nail, corner for corner. Charlie now lining up Speed Queen. As you say, I was about to bring up the point that her tyres would be coming off, and it looks as though, as hard as she's fought in this first stint, it's really hurt those tyres, because you can see she's now starting to lose a lot of time. Charlie, who's starting to rear her in corner upon corner, he's going to be right within the striking point of her in just I imagine by the end of this straight. Will she come in at the end of lap 8 to put on a new set of tyres to go probably to the end of the race, unless she's going for that 2-stop strategy? Does she come in from the nose? She sticks it out for another lap. She's trying to stay with it. We've got this battle now between Luke and Zyman behind for the final point. And can Zyman hold off Luke? And these two have been attached by the hip for the last few laps. But once again, he's just about going to hold off the attack from the Ferrari driver. But yeah, I was just sitting there really enjoying what we've seen so far this race, because it's been magnificent driving.
It really has. It's one of those where you're going to go blue in the face from talking too much, trying to get it all crammed in. You just don't know where to look. You're trying to look near the front and watch the battle between Warrislander and Boy Better Know pretty close, and you're looking further down. You just don't know where to look at the moment. But I just wanted to point out, it's so far so good for, I'd say, for Boy Better Know. He's really hanging on to the back of that McLaren of Warrislander at the moment. Warrislander, he's just about hanging on to Harry, 8, 9, 10, so he's just about there. But yeah, Scott's having a decent session so far. If he can keep this up, you know what Scott is like. He can usually pull out a podium. So it'll be fascinating to see how he goes on for the rest of the race in that Mercedes. But so far, so good for him.
Yeah, it seems to have his head screwed on a little bit better today, and we saw a very despondent Scott last week in Azerbaijan, but this week he seems to have that game face on. We know that he does well in Bahrain, and we'll go and check in with him in just a second as Sam closing up to Foxy now. He'll be well within striking range, but where is Scott in his attempt at trying to get up? As we see Sam, the first one into the box, he is off the medium tyres, I believe. So Sam, the first one off those tyres on lap 10. So that's a very early stop for the Spanish driver. Scott was unable to get past Warris, and Warris about holding off for now, but he's going to be under threat once again as in this, and I keep saying second, I completely forget that there's a DRS zone now between turn 3 and turn 4, so I've said that completely incorrectly all evening long, so I do apologise. And he's just about held off the Mercedes driver, but Scott once again just eyeing him up, and they're not dropping or not being dropped by Harry as Jumpaliner does the fastest lap on the hard tyres, so that shows you that the fresh rubber does help, and he's down there in 18th position, well down the field, and Jumpaliner kind of hoping that a safety car might come out at some point to bring the field back closer together. Scott not really making any inroads there on Morris Lander down the DRS straight, the third DRS straight of the lap, sorry, and yeah, Scott starting just to keep an eye on where Warris is putting that car, because we saw Warris go wide early. He lost the position to Harry out off the podium, and he's now just about to fall out of DRS. He's just about staying in it, which is going to help him in this defence against Scott. And now that Sam has come into the pits lap 10, will that start to bring some of the others in? And into the pit lane does come Fountain and the Warris Lander. So those two deciding that a lap 11 is the furthest that they can go on those medium tyres before they come in and make that stop. So very interesting decision from Fountain. Is he going to think that he's probably in a race of his own at the moment, because Hercules looks to be way up the field, but equally it looks like Fountain's doing quite nicely. But Warris Lander, it's possibly just realising that he was under threat from Scott, try and get that undercut.
Yeah, definitely, and I just want to bring your attention to the battle between Simon and Elia Luke. I think Simon has been alongside more cars tonight than anybody else. He's now fighting with Elia Luke once again. It just about stays ahead, but Luke trying his hardest. And I just want to say as well, what a good job it was from Speakwin on those soft tyres. She came in same time as Sam on the medium tyres, and she's not that too far behind Sam, so she's now out there on the hard tyres. So that soft tyre has not worked out too badly for her in the end. If she can make these hard tyres now work for her, she still might have a possibility of scoring some good points later on. But just going back to the battle I was talking about between Simon and Elia Luke in P6 and P7, Elia Luke just hounding that Red Bull driver at the moment, trying to force a mistake or an opening or opportunity or anything from Simon. But at the moment, Simon's not budging whatsoever, and you'd imagine any time now, we've seen a few of the medium tyre guys going into pits, you would imagine a heap load more as we see the race leader. The race leader is now into the pits via Hercules. So yeah, what a first stint that was from him. You should imagine him be coming back out comfortably. Even though Foxman and Charlie do stay out, he'll be back out comfortably ahead of the guys who pitted earlier than him with that near 5-second lead he had.
Where does Hercules come out on track? It's going to be behind the Renault in Adra Lockdock. They're in 7th position, so he's still got a huge gap between himself and White Fountain, who Fountain now just coming up to turn 1 now, so it's a big gap there between Hercules and White Fountain. But yeah, it was a good stop there from Hercules, getting in and out into relatively clean air. He's got a couple of drivers ahead of him that haven't stopped, but he will be he's himself got a second between himself and Adra Lockdock. We've still got this battle between Simon and Luke going on, so we'll go check in back with those two, because they've been great fun to watch this evening. And you can still nose to tail between the Ferrari and the Red Bull, and Simon doing a masterful job of keeping Luke behind. And this must be just so frustrating for Luke, having to sit behind the Swede lap upon lap. And as they get towards the end of this stint, does one of them come in maybe this lap and try and get that undercut? Because we've seen that it's not worked massively, but equally, of course, fresh rubber will always, unless you come out in a really terrible position on track, fresh rubber is always better than scrubbed rubber.
These two, hats off to them. They've been absolutely superb. I don't know how they've gone through most of that second section side by side, as they both pit exactly the same time. So those two will be probably coming out side by side the way they've been going tonight. It's been an absolutely fascinating battle, and like I say, they've been superb to not take each other out as well through some of those really twisty tight sections. And anyhow, Luke does manage to pit in, but did you notice that as well? Burmeister also came in, so for the Ferraris double stack, because Burmeister had to wait for Eliar Luke to just leave the pit lane, so that was bad timing there for Burmeister. That will drop him well down the order, unfortunately for him there. But Eliar Luke does come out right behind Simon. So part 2 of the Eliar Luke Simon battle begins now onto the hard tyres.
We've had a swap of position between Scott and Warrislander, currently in 6th and 7th position. But yeah, we'll see where they feed out in relation to the race in a second. But yeah, Scott getting the move done into turn 1, and Warrislander unable to fight back into the second DRS zone, and that's allowed the Mercedes driver finally past Warrislander on these hard tyres. And Warris, it's now going to be the job to go from being the hunted to the hunter, as he's going to try and stick with Scott. And Scott just starting to, he's made a little bit of a gap already that's not allowed Warris to make use of this DRS zone in towards turn 11. So it's, yeah, it's the Warris, he's kind of falling back from what we saw, and it was something that we were saying earlier in this season, where he's had that just superb one lap pace but not able to really translate it to mega fast race pace. And that's one thing that he's going to be looking at improving towards the end of the season, ready for the next and third and final season on F1 2019. Hercules now just about to retake the effective lead of the race. There he goes, out passes Scott, does the fastest lap of 31.2, but Hercules now puts himself a pit stop ahead of the 2 Renault cars, so that's going to work out quite nicely indeed for him, as we've got this battle between Luke and Simon once again. And we'll check in, and here comes Luke in the inside. Can he finally get the move done? Simon's going to stick with it around the outside. He's still alongside these two side by side for lap upon lap. They're banging wheels on the exit, and Simon's still holding on to the position. How is he holding on to this position ahead of Luke? Luke is going to be screaming at the wheel trying to find a way past, but seemingly Simon gets a much better launch, especially off of the first corner into the second corner. He seems to get a much better launch, and Luke is just going to be sitting there just trying to find every single position that he can throw that Ferrari, but every time he tries, Simon seems to have an answer for it.
Luke is certainly going to be having nightmares about a Red Bull-shaped F1 car tonight, isn't he? That car is just won't budge from that position. Luke, once again, with the DRS, trying to get the moves done, but Simon, he's been the master tonight of just placing that car in the right position, and it's been an absolutely fascinating battle. I just wanted to point out, just slightly ahead of that battle, FPL Charlie is now putting pressure on Speed Queen. Speed Queen now back up into 10th place. She's only about a second behind Foxy Speed Queen, who started on those soft tyres. Charlie will have the DRS of Speed Queen here. Speed Queen won't have DRS because she's outside of that 1 second window. So I'm just right on board with Charlie now. Can Charlie get the move done on Speed Queen? Sends one down the inside. It looks like a relatively easy move there. Speed Queen trying to stick it out there. They're pretty much side by side, but unfortunately for Speed Queen, it's just not enough, and that promotes Charlie now up into the points into P10.
And finally Luke gets the move done, cuts across the front of the Red Bull, doesn't allow him to come back across him, and this time Simon's going to try and stick with him, but he can't, and the battle looks to be finally over. Luke picked up 3 seconds worth of penalties on that last lap, running wide on the exit of turn 12, but he finally got the move done ahead of Simon, and he decided this time he was going to send it down the inside and come right across the track to defend from him, and unfortunately Simon was unable to get that huge launch launch that we saw off when he was defending lap upon lap upon lap. But this time now, Luke finally up into 12th position. These two battling outside of the points, but nevertheless, just a fantastic fight between the pair of them. As Warrislander now way closer to Scott than in fact cutting the corner there on the exit of turn 13. But Warrislander much closer to Scott than he has been for the last few laps. Can he get back up ahead of the English driver? Scott, as Hercules as the fastest lap, just a smidge over a 1:31 there. But Warrislander now sitting behind that Mercedes. DRS will be enabled for him heading down towards turn 1. We're sitting directly above the young Dutchman's head. Is he close enough to make a lunge into turn 1? It's not quite going to be close enough just yet, but he takes a much nicer, tighter line into the apex of turn 1. But Scott's had a decent release out of the corner, which means that Warrislander had to slightly back out of the throttle, but in towards turn 3 and turn 4. It's still the status quo being held up, with Scott holding on to 6th position currently, with both Renaults still yet to stop.
Just further back in 15th and 16th place, John Polainen has managed to catch up to the back of Meg Luppe. And John Polainen he must have had a bad getaway into the final corner, because he had the DRS but just couldn't get the move done on the McLaren driver, and unfortunately into the next DRS zone he couldn't get the move done either. So at the moment John Polainen, he's trying to get a hurry on to at least get a sniff at maybe a point, but at the moment he's finding it very frustrating to get past Meg Luppe in the McLaren. They're coming up to the third DRS zone now, and surely you would imagine John Polainen can get the move done with DRS enabled. As John Polainen gets closer, surely he's going to send one down the inside now. He does send one down the inside now. Meg Luppe is trying to stick it out around the outside. It will allow him to stay in the inside, but John Polainen sticking it around the outside, and that is a move done for John Polainen. And John Polainen now up into 15th place, so the next job for him will be Klaska in 14th.
As Meg almost got it all wrong on the exit at turn 13, almost went down to downtown Sakir as he got the back end of that McLaren all out of shape, as finally Agile Octoc pits from the second position on track into and leaves Infinity out on track, and Infinity now under threat from Harry, and Harry's going to try and clear the Renault driver, and Harry trying to close in on White Fountain, who was battling with Infinity. Of course, Infinity yet to stop, the last driver on track without making a pit stop. We've got this battle still going on between Scott and Warrislander behind, but hopefully Harry will be looking at clearing this Renault in at least at the end of this next DRS zone. And he's going to try and close up to the rear of the Belgian driver, who had a decent gap at the end of the first stint, but he's been reeled in somewhat by Harry in the second one. So Harry, we've said before, he's had a patchy start to this season, and he's had qualifying problems, he's had issues, but he just thinks that it's possibly a little bit of consistency that's going his way. And we were talking to him earlier this week about that, and he said that he loves Monday nights. He loves the challenge of being here in IRL F1, running no assists, and he's picking up some decent points. He just needs to get towards the top end of the field. We've seen him pick up multiple podiums and a couple of race wins last season as well, and he's lining up Infinity sticking out there still on those old hard tyres with 10 laps left to go, or 11 laps left to go, sorry, as finally Harry getting past Infinity up into third position, and now 1.3 seconds back as Warrislander and Scott still battle over 5th and 6th position, and they're still trading positions. In fact, Warrislander now way closer to Scott. He's going to have to stick to the outside. There's contact between the two of them. Scott just seemed to move somewhat to the left-hand side and not allow Warrislander the position. Warrislander just almost to what we saw Scott doing earlier, just pushing the Mercedes around the track there, just giving him some extra speed. It's almost some bump drafting here in Formula 1. And but Warrislander just almost avoided what would have been a pretty major collision between the pair of them by just getting out of the throttle a little bit.
I hope this doesn't end in tears. It's been a superb battle at the moment. Warrislander now will have DRS heading down that third DRS straight, I should say, but not quite close enough there. Boy better know he's having, like I say, having a good race so far. Infinity, I have to say, he's done a superb job out there. There you go. There is commentator's curse for you right there. Infinity has just spun out. I don't mean to laugh at that. It's just unfortunate for him. Maybe those hard tyres have just got away from him. 18 laps on them, and unfortunate for him, he was having a good race. You'd imagine now he'll be coming in probably for a set of soft tyres to try and see out this race. But that's desperately unlucky for Infinity, who was doing a good job on those hard tyres. But unfortunately, the car just gave out and just faced him the wrong way.
Yeah, it's a real shame for Infinity, who last week, as I said, picked up his best yet result, and a decent result for him. And yeah, not a great as he retires from the race down, and frustration probably boiling over as he realised that he lost a huge amount of time as Warris sends it up the inside of Scott. Scott tries to come back at him and going for the undercut. These two are going to go side by side into turn 5. Not a position for two cars, but they're going to try and stick with it. Banging wheels. Warrislander drifting around turn 7, but Scott back up into 4th position. They were just trading positions, and Warrislander really holding on to the ragged edge of that McLaren as he got around the exit of turn 7. But yeah, these two still going at each other, and what it is doing, it's allowing Sam and Charlie back into the fray, as we're now starting to get a 4-car battle between 4th down to 7th position.
Yeah, oh, White Fountain picking up a 3-second time penalty. Now that is interesting, isn't it? Because Harry is 1.1 seconds behind White Fountain, and if Harry can keep within 3 seconds, we've got flagging sector 1 as Klaska has retired. Yeah, if Harry can keep within 3 seconds and doesn't pick up any penalties himself, second place is available for him. But I just want to say as well, what a race so far it has been for Hercules. 7.2 seconds ahead of second place. He is just absolutely dominated, not only qualifying, but he's dominated the race so far, and he at the moment is on course for yet another victory, consecutive victory of appearances. So Hercules surely showing us that if he was here every week, he'd be right up there with John Polina. He's looking absolutely mighty, isn't he, at the moment? But yeah, back into 4th place. It looks like we're going into the last 9 laps for one hell of a battle.
Yeah, we are indeed, and with Jumpalainen not scoring at the moment, sitting in 12th position, still with some time to make up, and the guys in the top 10. It's going to be a decent result for the likes of Hercules, White Fountain, Harry, who will be picking up some points on the current points leader, with the racing points sitting in 12th position. So it's pretty much worked out perfectly. As we see Warrislander, they're outbraking himself somewhat into or as we saw, looking up into turn 10, but he's still well within a chance of getting back past Scott. And we've seen these two going at each other. I imagine there's not going to be any colour left on those wheels by the end of it, the amount of times that they've been banging up against each other and running at speed. But Warris still holding on to the back end of this Mercedes. Sam, Charlie, Foxy Red now part of this group. It's back into a trail of cars following the Mercedes as Hercules just keeps getting faster. Here he does 30.831 on the hard tyres. Have done 9 laps, so great consistency and great speed there from the German driver. But here comes Warrislander, tucked up behind Scott, way closer. Scott's going to go to the inside line. Is he going to cover it off? He does, but will the overspeed on the McLaren allow him to get the move done before they get to turn 1? Scott's going to try and stick with the move and try and hold with him, but Warrislander's got the inside for the next corner, up into 4th position, but Scott still trying to stick with it. There's contact between the two. He's off onto the gravel. He just about holds onto it, but he's going to fall back behind Foxy. That lost him a whole heap of time. Just tried to go side by side. Couldn't quite work. The contact between the two just seemed to put the Mercedes off balance, but he's held on to it. He's lost a couple of positions, but he's still in this fight, still in with a chance of holding on to a position where he can fight back. Warrislander in 4th position now. There's no respite for the Dutchman. He's now got to look behind him. He's got Sam and Charlie hot on his heels.
Yeah, an unlikely opportunity, I'd say, for Sam tonight to grab 4th place. Sam, he's been hovering around like 5th, 6th and 7th places for most of the race, hasn't he? But with that mistake from Scott there, it's allowed Sam to just take advantage. And now if he can just hang on to the back of that Mercedes, he'll have a great opportunity to try and steal 4th place from Warrislander. But Yeah, there you go. Hercules, time after time, just showing us how quick he is, and now sets another fastest lap. We are 1:35 on those hard tyres. He's just showing us how very special he is. But Warrislander, he'll be trying his hardest now to try and build that gap, but Sam's hanging on there with FPL Charlie now thinking he's have an opportunity. He's going to have a No, I thought he was going to have a dive down the inside of Sam, but he thought better of it, and that's allowed Sam to get even close to Warrislander. So this is probably going to go all the way down to the checkered flag here between these four, because Scott is just about hanging on. He's around a second off, but he's just about hanging on there, so it could still be a 4-5 way battle here.
Harry has really reeled in. Fountain now, the gap now only 0.4 of a second between the Williams and the Haas driver, and he looks as though he's really looked after these tyres in this second stint. White Fountain getting, you can see that Harry there just having to slow down somewhat just to keep it within the boundaries and not wanting to pick up any wing damage this stage in the race, because he'd fall back majorly. You know that wing damage around here will really hurt you because of the fast and medium speed corners, and Fountain just about holding a half-second lead over Harry, but Harry seemingly with the pace over Fountain currently, so we'll see if Harry can close in. He's 0.4 of a second behind, and he's now getting towards the DRS zone. So will he have a go down into turn 1 at the start of lap 23? Hercules, Harry getting out of shape on the exit there. That might cost him a 10th or 2, but he looks as though he's going to be close enough to attack down into turn 1. Here he comes, the Williams driver. He's going to have to go the long way round. Everyone covers the inside line, but that does give the inside for the next corner. It's a bit, it's deep for White Fountain, so that was dreadful commentary into the corner, but it's side by side. But White Fountain holds on to the position going into turn 4. Harry's going to have another go and then thinks better of it. He's going to line him up and have another shot later in the lap, or possibly when we come to the DRS zone and start finish line on lap 24. But it does look like Harry's got White Fountain's number at the moment.
It does. White Fountain just hasn't got an answer. As he's falling away. John Polina must have come into the pits. I didn't see that because he's on a set of softs and has just set the fastest lap. So yeah, John Polina was in 12th, wasn't he? He's down in 16th. So I've missed that there. So any chance of John Polina scoring points today are firmly out the window now. But Warrislander, I'd have to say, he's doing a decent job at the minute of holding on to 4th place. He's nearly broke the DRS train from Sam, so if you can manage that, Sam will be under some mega pressure then from Charlie really trying to keep hold of that Haas car at the moment. But Warrislander, we're on lap 23 at the moment. Warrislander he's gone very wide there. Warrislander trying to hold on to the car the best he can, but moment he's just about doing what he needs to do to keep that Haas car behind him.
Here comes Harry once again. Can he get the move done? Once again, White Fountain is going to cover the inside line, make Harry go the long way round. The Williams peels off to the left-hand side, and this time White Fountain seemingly lets him go. So does Fountain understand that he's sitting on that 3-second penalty and he would have lost the position regardless, because he just seemed to come off of the throttle and let the Williams driver through into turn 1. So a very strange decision there from Fountain, but possibly is it so that he realises they don't cost themselves any more time. He can now get on with his race and hold off a 3-second lead from Warrislander behind, which will maintain him a podium.
Could well be, yes. Wow. I was right on board with FPL Charlie there, and he was nearly all out of shape there. The wheel was pretty much going the opposite direction and just about kept hold of it. He's got Foxy Red on board with him as well. And what's happening now is Charlie's teammate, Boy Better Know, is firmly back into this fight now. He's half a second behind Foxy Red, but at the moment, just this train is just kind of it's nullifying it all. Nothing's really happening because Sam's managing to get the DRS still on Warrislander. It's helping him defend it from Charlie and so on and so forth, right down to Scott. So at the moment, nobody's really able to make a move. But right now, going into the final corner, Sam is much closer to Warrislander now. Warrislander must have had a few bad corners there, but Warrislander, he's going to be under severe pressure here. Sam now just get the DRS. Here we go. 0.2 of a second. can Sam get the move done? He sends one down the inside. It's comfortable. It's really easy for Sam. Sam now into 4th place. Warrislander can't do anything about it, and this is now allowing Charlie to try and have a go at Sam. But Warrislander will have the DRS, you would imagine, on Sam, but it's not going to get him close enough, and it's only going to have to help him defend from Charlie, and Charlie now trying to put the pressure on the McLaren driver for P5.
Scott and Foxy trading positions over 8th and 9th and 7th and 8th, sorry, as White Fountain gets back ahead of Harry. So those two, Fountain not giving up the position, and those two were swapping positions, I believe, on the exit of turn 4 just before we saw these guys enter the corner. But yeah, you saw Scott after that half spin earlier. He's back in the challenge for this position with Sam now leading in 4th position. Can Sam start to make a breakaway? Will Warrislander try and stick with him? Of course, there's a little bit of difference between the tyre life. Sam, 15 laps on those hard tyres compared to the likes of Charlie and Foxy, only 12 laps on theirs. So they've got that slight advantage. But Foxy, he's got Charlie's teammate Scott all over him at the moment. So he's going to have to do a lot of work. And we heard from Foxy saying that he's not had much sleep in the last few days. So he's possibly going to try. Well, I imagine this battle will be keeping his eyes open, because he'll be having to look in his mirrors and in front of him at the same time. So he's one of those races where you need eyes in the back of your head. And here comes Charlie as Fountain and Harry swap positions once again. But here comes Charlie lining up Warrislander. Warris goes to the inside line. Charlie wants to take that inside line. Warris isn't going to allow him to see at all. But can he get the under and over on him? He's going to sweep to the inside line, take the apex. But once again, Warrislander covering off nicely and using that DRS from Sam in front is able to defend. But you can see here comes Scott peeling to the inside as well. These guys still, every single position you can think about putting a car, one of these guys is going to think about putting it.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to go right down to the checker flag, isn't it? This Warrislander doing a decent job at the moment, keeping Charlie behind. Sam is now the one who's aiding everybody with DRS. But yes, Scott's not giving up, is he? He's still have an opportunity here, Scott. Even though he's down in 8th place, he's still got an opportunity here for even 4th place if it all works out for him. So this is definitely going to go right down to the wire. Sam just about keeping Warrislander within DRS, but at the moment nobody can just take advantage because of that effect. What's happening at the moment, the DRS is just helping those guys defend. But if Charlie, there we go, Scott, any chance now of scoring decent points against these guys is costing big time. There's a 3-second time penalty for the Mercedes driver, which is not good at all. So he has got Speakway not too far behind, so he should be able to maintain 8th, but you'd imagine anything higher is probably out of his hands now.
Yep, it's unfortunately for Scott, that's a really put a dampener on his chances of getting some decent points today, because well, here comes Charlie thinking about a move on Warrislander, but once again Warris using that DRS from Sam just ahead to hold off the challenge from Charlie behind. But these guys still going at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all in the same shot as we head down towards turn 4, and Charlie just about locking the front right ever so slightly there. Small puff of blue smoke from the right hand tyre as he got into the braking zone. But ahead, Harry, he's just about ahead, holding off from White Fountain. The Haas team once again doing nicely with constructors' points in 3rd and 4th position. And but White Fountain, of course, has that 3-second time penalty, but he's got a healthy 6.5-second lead between himself and Sam. It's this battle going on between 4th all the way down to 8th that we're keeping an eye on. Behind, we saw CPI Alex Burmeister having a nice battle a few laps ago. Alex has managed to get past Burmeister, and he's now chasing down Meg Lugby in 13th position. So Alex, unfortunately, not having the greatest of races this evening, but he is still involved in battles, as we've seen throughout the field. And White Fountain still sticking within Harry's DRS, and he's still thinking about it. But at this point, it might just be a case we're on the penultimate lap of the race and of round 7 here in Bahrain, and can anyone get anything done? Can Fountain get back past Harry? But it does look like it's going to be 3rd position is holding his. But here comes Charlie. Equally, Warrislander's going to think about going to the outside of Sam. Sam's going to have to do double defending here from the McLaren and the Mercedes. And Sab, we'll try and give you a prediction. Who is going to finish out the top of this guy here?
That is too tough a question. That is the £1,000,000 question, isn't it? I honestly don't know at the minute. Warrislander looking like he's having an opportunity to take on Sam, but then Charlie is literally nose to tail to Warrislander. So I have not a clue how this is going to play out. All I know is it's going to give us and everybody else watching an absolute amazing end to this race, because these guys have put on one hell of a show at the moment for us. Charlie, Foxy Red has just banged into the back of Charlie there. He banged over the curves and tapped the back of Charlie, but luckily it's not done any damage to either Charlie or Foxy Red, and it just shows you, doesn't it, how close these guys are. A little love kiss there, and it's just not causing any damage, luckily, and it just shows you how close they're battling. But Warrislander, his opportunity will be coming up shortly, coming up onto the final lap, won't it? He needs to have if I can speak, a good getaway from the final corner on to Sam to see if he can get the move done for 4th place, but he's also got to keep an eye on Charlie, who's not too far behind either.
We're on the final lap of the race. There's that trail of cars in the background there. You can see Sam snaking side to side, trying to break the toe of Warrislander, of Charlie, of Foxy Red, and of Boy Better Know, down into the final, or the first corner for the final time. Can anyone get a move done? Not quite. Sam going defensive into the first corner. Warrislander unable to get back past him. Charlie getting a huge twitch on the exit of turn 2 and turn 3 there. That's going to allow him vulnerable from Foxy Red, who's going to try and send it down the inside. Foxy going to the inside. There's banging between wheels, and here goes, just about holds on to the position there. Foxy sideways on the exit of turn 4, Charlie holding on to the position. These guys, it's almost been a mixture of rallycross and Formula 1 here. Scott finally sends it down the inside of Foxy Red. There's still contact between the two, and what was that? That was Sam down from 4th position. He's now down to 6th position. What happened there between the pair of them?
I honestly don't know. Sam's got a puncture. Sam's got a left front puncture. Sam is going to lose in 4th place here. He must have took too much out of those hard tyres, and he's got a left front puncture, and that is desperately unfortunate for him on the final lap. I don't know if it was through contact or just through general wear of the tyre, but unfortunately for Sam, he'll try and see out the race as we see Hercules. Huge congratulations to Hercules there. Absolutely dominant race there for him, but desperately unlucky for the Haas driver there. He's got Speed Queen now chasing him down to try and steal 8th place from it. Can Sam hang on and just score some points at the end there? But as we see now, Warrislander crossing the line, 4th place in the end, with Charlie coming on 5th, Foxy Red 6th, with Boy Better Know in the end just about getting away with that 3-second time penalty, coming home in 7th. But that was desperately unlucky. I just went on board and you could just see that front left flailing away, and unfortunately for Sam, it's finished him down in 9th place.
Yeah, it's as Hercules comes across the line in style, spinning the car, leaving carbon fibre all over the track, which I'm sure the track marshals will love when they have to clean that up later. But it's a fantastic win for the German driver, another one to add to his collection here. And that's 3 races for him, 3 victories, and this time by a massive 12-second margin over Harry, who, although losing the position on track to White Fountain on the final lap of the race, manages to get back past the Belgian driver, which means that Harry picks up an equal best second position for his efforts tonight. That in fact that's his best result this season, with 2 second places so far, 2 third places, so that's his best result. 12 points in the bag for him this evening. But yeah, a absolutely superb evening for Hercules to pick up the race victory, pole position, and just control it from the front. And there you go, in 44 minutes and 36 seconds, Hercules goes from flag to flag and did not look in doubt. As soon as he left the line, held on to the position, and he just drove off from the rest. Harry from 7th up to 2nd place. Great result there from the Williams driver, with Fountain maintaining position even though he got up to 2nd off the line. He drops back on penalties. Warrislander is in 4th position with Charlie 0.2 of a second behind. Foxy Red, Boy Better Know, and Speed Queen in 8th, with Sam with that last lap puncture dropping him to 9th. Simon picks up your final point with Luke, Adri, Meg, Alex, Burmeister, Jumper, Line, and way down the order after those 2 stops due to that early contact with Klasky and Infinity, unfortunately not finishing this evening and not being classified as at the end of the race. But yes, Sab, We just see a masterclass from tonight. It was just brilliant from him, from that pole position lap, from equally we saw in qualifying on both sets of tyres. He just seemed to be an absolute class of his own.
He really did. He long into the distance. He thoroughly deserved his race victory. Thoroughly deserved the pole position. And once again, he's come in and just dominated the evening. If we can see him more regular, I'm sure he could be right up there challenging Jean Pelainen, especially with Jean Pelainen not finishing in the points tonight. So, what a race we had, though. Where do you start from it? It got both of us tongue-tied at least twice tonight. It was just action after action. We had battles with Simon and Luke. We had battles for fifth place. There's just battles everywhere, and unfortunately, we just didn't have enough cameras to be able to give everybody the opportunity to see it all.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and yeah, if you've enjoyed the race, guys, make sure you press that like button because that was something special. We saw some fantastic racing from these guys, and it was just so much fun. Like I said in the race, I was sitting here with a smile beaming on my face, and I'm lucky enough to be one of the admins for these guys, and it brings me such joy to be able to commentate race and week upon week for these guys' races, and they just give us so much entertainment, and it makes our job very easy to bring you the on-track action because it is laid out right in front of us, and just lap upon lap you saw there were just intense battles throughout the entire field. So yeah, as you said earlier, hats off to everyone because that was a fantastic result for a number of people across the field as the drivers are starting to join us in the box for this evening for the post race interviews. But yeah, of course, guys, just to reinforce tomorrow night, Realistic Performance League with Tim and Malc in the commentary box, and then of course on Wednesday night you've got two leagues. You've got the IRL F1, F2 and F3 races with Dan and Warrislander covering F2 and Tim and Malc back in F3. And of course you can go to all the socials, Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus Racing League on Facebook to find all race highlights, all details about the league equally, photo albums and all the stats and figures and history behind Invictus. So make sure you check us out on all the socials. But the guys have joined us this evening, and we'll kick off by going to our race leader. And of course, guys, just to double check, make sure you've got your voices to be allowed to be shared so that everyone can hear you on stream. But yeah, Hercules, congratulations, fantastic race for you tonight. You had a great pole position, and then just as soon as you led it off the line, just drove away. Were you feeling comfortable tonight?
Yeah, I feel really comfortable. Yeah, the quali lap was good. I only had like one or two little mistakes, but I think if you can get on the 27th with a medium, you are really fast on Bahrain. And then at the start, I was a little bit lucky not to get past, and yeah, I could manage to pull the 1 second gap, and then I think White Fountain struggled a little bit and fall back, and then had a fight with Harry. And yeah, I could yeah manage a race from that on.
When you get into a position like that, when you've got such a big lead, and we could see the lead growing lap on lap, is it quite difficult just to maintain that sort of that consistency and concentration to make sure you don't pick up any silly penalties or touch any curbs that might spin you? Because you're almost in a race on your own, so it's kind of how hard is it to concentrate for that sort of period of time?
It's really hard. I like to follow someone, but to get away, it's really hard. I look at the timings and then set goal for each lap and just push it. But still, at the end, I got little bit lazy. Picked up 2 warnings, and yeah, I think I nearly spun one time. So it's really hard when you are in the lead because you can only lose and gain nothing. But yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a fantastic race from yourself tonight. Really enjoyed watching just how quick you were in qualifying, and onto
Yeah,
onto
thanks,
Harry.
and
No worries, man.
congratulations to the rest.
Oh, thank
Like amazing pace from White Fountain. I'm really sweating. So yeah, good race of you too.
Yeah, and I mean talking about the battle over second and third, and it was Harry in the end that picked it up off after, although finishing behind Fountain on track. A decent result from you tonight, 7th up to second place. You've got to be happy with that one.
Yeah, very happy. I knew I was a bit frustrated after qualifying because my best lap was probably about 3 tenths quicker than I could have done in qualifying, and I mean, it was so close in qualifying, that meant the difference between potentially starting like third, I started seventh, but I think I got one position at the start, managed to get past Speed Queen and just sort of picked them off one by one. It's quite hard with DRS, so slipstreamy, but no, and then I was just a little bit quicker than Fountain on the hards. He lost a little bit of time behind Renault. Yeah, and we had a good fight to the end, really, but I knew I had a penalty, so I just making sure it was 100% clean, really.
Yeah, I mean, you were involved in a brilliant battle earlier in the race between, as you said, between Speed Queen and Scott, and you seemed to throw it up the inside a couple of times, just catch them off guard when people were kind of eyeing up the guys in front of them. You just seemed to put the car in the right place. So was it just a case of just keeping it clean and making sure you didn't pick up any wing damage around here?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, that's the thing when it's so hard it's very easy to get close to someone, but it's very hard to overtake someone, especially if they're following. So you just kind of have to be a little bit instinctive, I suppose, with some of the moves. Like maybe not try it into turn one, try and exit turn one, especially when they go side by side ahead of you. But no, I think everyone had really good pace, and obviously Hercules is probably in a league of his own. But no, hopefully I get to keep this second place. Because after Baku was the worst race of the season, so now I think probably the best race of the season now. So hopefully finish that way.
Well, yeah, second place for your best result of the season so far. That's a decent haul of points. And with jumper line and not finishing in the points tonight, that brings you much closer to the fin. And another driver that's made a decent amount of points this evening is yourself, Fountain. And it was a good race for you last Friday, and you bring it over to Monday, where you had decent pace this afternoon and this evening. And unfortunately, that penalty just dropped you back behind Harry. But yeah, it was a good launch off the line, round the outside of Wallace Landry into turn one. Were you pretty happy with that move? Because it looked like you quite nicely done, very tidy, Brownham.
Yeah, at the beginning I had a really good start, but I was on the outside of the corner, so I didn't really see what happening on the inside, so I was happy to be second after the first 2-3 corners. Yeah, and during the race I had two warnings. I was really cautious, and then like on the fast right-hander I touched the curb, and it's kind of spun me across the track, which gave me a third warning and the penalty. So I might report. I don't know if warnings can be reviewed. But yeah, at the end I was seeing, like, with the 3-second time penalty, the guy behind Samu, Warriors, Lander, I know they were quick, so I wanted to keep the 3-second gap, and well, I could keep it because I had the DRS from Harry. Yeah, and the final lap I thought, well, I might well get P2 on track, and maybe that penalty will be removed, I don't know. But what a fun race. Hercules was too quick, just couldn't follow him. I don't think anyone could have followed him, so congratulations to Hercules, to Harry, to the rest. I think it was a nice race to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it was brilliant one, so make sure you check it out, because yeah, there was just action going on across the track for the entire race long. But yeah, I mean, just one quick final one to you. That's your third podium of the season, second place finish in Germany, and of course last week in Azerbaijan. So yet to stand on the top step, but picking up those podiums, it keeps you in the hunt for the championship, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not really looking at the championship standings, except for the constructors, where me and Sam are first or second with a couple of points. So it's that I'm looking for, and well, I take it race by race. I'm not as consistent as I was in the previous game, so I have some good results, some really bad results. So I take it week after week, and we'll see where we end at the end of the season.
Yeah, well, good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll see you back in the commentary box for a couple of race interviews, maybe for a win later in the season. But yeah, one final question goes back to our race winner, back to Hercules, and we'll just end with yourself. Next week we head to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, and is it a track you're looking forward to? Very, very quick track, of course, that long straight down towards the Rettifidio at turn one. Are you expecting to do well there next week?
I hope I can, but I know this slipstream game is on there again, and it's hard to get a good lap in quali for me. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, well, we can expect that's 3 wins out of 3 races for yourself. So it's going to be a fantastic one to see if you can make it 4 out of 4. So yeah, congratulations, guys. Congratulations to everyone that finished on the podium tonight. Fantastic race. You're more than welcome to shoot off if you've got to head off. And Sab, just to finish off, a crazy race tonight. We saw a brilliant qualifying session. It was interrupted and we restarted, but equally these guys really, really pulled out the bag when it came to the race, because we just saw, as frustratingly as we saw from these guys saying that you get caught in that DRS train, but it really gave us some superb action on track, because they were just absolutely nose to tail for the entirety of this race.
Yeah, they were, and I just want to say huge congratulations to Hercules. He absolutely dominated tonight and showing everybody what he can do. And if he carries that on, he's certainly going to be in with a chance for the championship, especially Jean Paulinen missing out on points tonight. It's certainly going to bring the pack a lot closer, isn't it? But yeah, the battles throughout the whole of the race were superb. Even the battles down in 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th positions, it had just great racing throughout the whole of the evening. So it's definitely one to watch back if you don't get a chance to watch it live with us. That's for sure. Just pointing out the LER Luke and Simon battle, for example, you could have sat on board with that for the majority of the race and enjoyed that thoroughly. It was just one of those things, wasn't it? How you could just focus on one thing and you could be seeing places traded all the time and close battling. So once again, these guys have gave us an absolute superb show. Huge round of applause for everybody involved. It was very clean, really, when you think about the amount of side-by-side action we saw, especially through those tricky middle sector. So yeah, huge congratulations to the race winner tonight, and huge congratulations to everybody else, just to make it a great race for us to be commentators on and for people to enjoy watching.
Yeah, absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth, and that is us done for round 7 here, the IRL F1 League as part of Invictus Racing League, and we will be back next Monday night, 7:50 p.m. for the Italian Grand Prix around Monza, one of the most iconic circuits on the F1 calendar, and of course is absolutely nailed on to be another fantastic race. We've seen some absolutely classic races around Monza here in Invictus in the past, so do not expect to see anything different, and if it's anything like what we saw tonight, you're in store for an absolute treat. And but that is us done, guys, for this evening. Make sure you check out tomorrow's race for the Realistic Performance League, or equally Wednesday night for IRL F2 and F3. If you're not subscribed already to the YouTube channel, click that red button below. Subscribe to us for all the content that we bring out every single week about F1 2019 as we head into the future, and equally ding the bell to be notified every time we go live with a new stream. Of course, we've got our socials, Invictus Racing League on Facebook, Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, and of course you can go to the website invictusracingleague.com, go to the apply to race section to get yourself on the grid for season 3 of F1 2019, season 10 overall here at Invictus. Plenty more racing left to go, and of course, we will be back next week bringing you all the commentary from Monza, but from Sab and I from Bahrain for the 7th round of the IRL F1 League from Bahrain. Have a great night. Congratulations to the top 3, and we will see you next week.